What is up, guys? Welcome everybody back to the verse. We've got a super special surprise today. We are linking up with XRP Jenna, none other. Thank you so much for coming onto the channel. We're gonna get into some things about XRP, Pulsechain, and who knows what might come up. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jenna.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to hang out with you guys. So let's get it.
All right, good deal. Um, Kris, did you want to start off with asking any questions about maybe XRP Jenna's background in crypto? I think that's where we usually take this.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of first got you into cryptocurrency and what was the first coin you invested in?
Okay, so one of my friends who was a barber, he actually is the one who told me about XRP, or not XRP, I'm sorry, Bitcoin. And that was in like 2017. And I think that's when Bitcoin was getting ready to really pop off. I remember buying it at like $16,000. That was the first currency I ever bought. So that was pretty cool. And oh my gosh, I saw somebody walk by on your screen and I thought it was on mine. And I was like, I thought there
That
was
that tripped me up earlier. I thought it was merged too, but yeah, I'm sitting in a box in a library right now.
oh my God, I thought there was like a ghost in my studio. I'm like, there's no one here but me. So anyway, yeah, that's what got me into it first. And I was like watching it, like seeing what happens. And I thought the idea of a virtual currency was a great idea because I could really see how it would work in the real world and, obviously the need for it. So I obviously sold it because I freaked out. I didn't know what I was doing. It was dropping. And then I just started to watch it. And I didn't get really into crypto again until about 2019, and I started buying some XLM and I got a small amount of XRP. And then in 2020, one of my best friends who's in the NSA, she told me about XRP and how they were going to be getting delisted from all the major exchanges and the lawsuit that they were going to be going through with the SEC. So I was like, okay, I know what happened to Tesla whenever they were getting sued by the SEC. So let me get as much of this as I can. I believe in buying the fear, and I'll continue to learn about it later. So as I continued to follow the case and just learn more and more about XRP, I just really dove into the community and I fell in love with it. And now I try to like other things, and I do have some other crypto, but I would say I'm 90% XRP and XRPL projects just because I believe so much in it. I just love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a similar come up when it came to cryptocurrency. The first project I bought was Bitcoin as most people, and I actually got into Hex as my second coin. It's a very similar story as you. And it's the same with my buddy Trent. He actually bought Hex before, and this was when Hex was starting to skyrocket and build up. And what I like about the XRP community and the Hex community is that they're very, very strong and they're very similar when it comes to, spreading the word, getting people onboarded and whatnot. And I mean, both of them have their own use case utilities, a little bit different, but definitely really cool. So, yeah, so with that being said, did you want to just jump into the Pulse chain, talk a little bit about the Pulse chain before we get into XRP?
I do. And I just want to say, one of my friends told me about Hex like in the very beginning. And this is after I spent so much money on different shit coins that were scams and rug pulls. So I'm like, Hex, the name Hex just sounds like a scam, right? I so regret not getting in then. So definitely regret that. And that's why I don't want to miss Pulse Chain when it actually launches. And so definitely let's get into that because I want to know, did you sacrifice? How do you feel about this delay? What are your thoughts?
So when it comes to the sacrifice, when we first got into Hex, we didn't really know what was going on. And I think that's like with most cryptocurrency and retail investors, you have no idea what you're doing, you're just buying stuff. And so for the Pulse chain, both of us, we actually did not get into that sacrifice. And then
I
I
did
was
late. I did
uh
late. I'm getting 68 pulse for a pretty bad price.
So some context behind that, how the sacrifice worked is at the beginning, for every dollar you sacrifice, you get basically points. And for every $1 is 10,000 points. And then it's like a curve that tailors off over time. And then the sacrifice left open for anyone who wants to send in cryptocurrency and be part of the sacrifice phase. Now, the idea is the earlier you do it, the more sacrifice points you get. And then that'll determine your airdrop when the Pulsechain launches. So ultimately, if you do some math, anyone who's like a math geek, sacrificing right now would not be very beneficial when in comparison to the upcoming launch of the Pulsechain, where you can just buy it outright and get a bunch more tokens right at launch. As for the delay, for us, it's not a really big deal, and we've been in cryptocurrency, so we understand these things. But for the community, that was really that was one of the biggest things that was really hindering and very discouraging. A lot of people were upset with Richard. A lot of people were like expecting this big Pulsechain run and the bull market was supposed to be restored, but that wasn't going to be the case. But ultimately, it was kind of like a punch in the face, but your face wasn't broken. And overall, it was also a positive because it also kind of set back some of our community and said, hey, this is going to launch when it launches, but when it comes to anticipation, you just got to be patient and just let things roll out.
And I think to add to that, I think my big positive takeaway from all of it is that we could have put that into some other, like you said, shitcoin or something at the time. And truly, if you put your money away and Pulsechain does what it says it's going to do and it launches and we sacrifice for it, then our assets really were truly protected, from inflation of USD. So it was a solid decision for us, almost like a savings in some sort of way. And, with the way Richard has timed things out, it wouldn't surprise me if he had some Easter eggs that, made us in the end see, oh, that's why this happened. Well, we're glad it went that way, because you could think about it in terms of, okay, what if we had already launched and then it flopped? People would be, bitching all the same. So I think it's most important just to understand, like Richard tells most people that listen to him, it's time in the market, not timing the market. We're just trying to be here. We're trying to be early. I think we understand this is a huge wave of innovation coming for Web3, and this infrastructure is being laid out. So I think that's the difference between people who are just like trading this stuff and understanding like this is a whole new world of investment, a whole new category of business that is really untouched at this point in human history. So I'm excited to be a part of the sacrifice phases, because I truly do believe that it's not all in vain.
Right. And you know what, though, like you mentioned something earlier of how similar with the XRP army and, the Hex community, the Hexicans are. We both put up with so much FUD and we are so freaking loyal to our projects and we just want to educate people.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Cryptocurrency is a space. It's like the Wild Wild West. You don't know what you're going to get. And right now, not only with financial communities and like businesses, we're just kind of feeling out what direction this is going to take our entire society. It's pretty amazing to think. Would you say so yourself?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I somewhat agree with the Wild Wild West thing. It's just like, I'm waiting for them to crack down really hard on DeFi now. And, some of the regulations scare me, but we do need it in a sense, right? But at the same point, we don't want to be overregulated. So it's just hard. And that's why it's so important that to not be a maximalist, right? In any one crypto. Like as much as I love XRP, I still think that Bitcoin has its purpose, right? Hex has its purpose. Different ones do. And I think that it's important to understand that and the value that some of these cryptos are bringing to the table.
Absolutely. I think just to also add to that, a lot of these cryptos are tied to each other, especially with, liquidity pools and when it comes to doing like DEX swaps. And if you look at something like XRP or Hex, they're tied to Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these major cryptocurrency players. So when you see people cheering for their downfall, well, it's also going to affect the price. But we don't have to get too much into that. I just want to add that.
Yeah. And I think that, it's just a matter of time before other cryptos do begin to decouple. I think we'll see that with XRP after we have clarity in this case. And, I think once we get relisted on the different exchanges and, if we do end up replacing Swift, we're not going to need to stay like tethered to Bitcoin, if that makes sense. But I wanted to ask you guys specifically, since I'm new to Hex. I have some Hex, guys, some really awesome hexagons. Definitely got me started. And I just want to know, what's the actual use case though? I don't really understand it.
So the use case behind Hex is it's a store of value, and the best way to explain it is it's the same thing. It's Bitcoin coding but better. And the idea behind it is, you have inflation, you have assets that appreciate or depreciate over time, but you can go in, buy this token up, and then do a time lock stake where your token's locked up for a certain period of time before you have access to it. In return for doing a time lock stake, you're going to get a certain percent interest on the amount of Hex you have. And what the tokenomics behind Hex have shown is that when you incentivize a large amount of people to lock up their token for a long period of time, it's going to have a massive positive price impact. Now, how this token is similar to a real world asset, it's very similar to a bond where you can exchange your dollars for a piece of paper and just earn interest on it. So the closest thing Hex is to like the US bond market.
Okay, that makes more sense. Than you simplified that more than a lot of people have for me. So I appreciate that.
That's what Kris does best. That's why we have a channel, because Kris is really good at articulating these things. And the overall thing is you get T shares for staking Hex. And so however the larger your T shares are, the more Hex you are rewarded in interest per day. So that's where we get numbers like 38% over its lifetime from those T shares payouts. That's what people are getting. So, and you're just incentivized to lock it up for a long period of time and hope that the price goes up and to the right.
What is the difference? Sorry, guys. Like I told you, I'm a Hex noob, right? So what's the difference between PulseX and then Pulsechain? And then obviously I know Hex is like the main currency.
Right. So how the Pulsechain ecosystem works, just breaking it down. So Pulsechain is like the layer one. That's the blockchain that's going to be operating, and it's a fork of the Ethereum blockchain. PulseX is the AMA, or the decentralized exchange launched on Pulsechain. So if you want to basically create a project or launch a project on Pulsechain, you can use PulseX to swap for tokens, go from stablecoin to whatever project. Now, Hex, going back to the prior question, it's more of like the store value, the bond. And so it's not going to be necessarily the main token on the Pulsechain, but the idea of the Pulsechain being developed is that we had massive gas fees on the Ethereum blockchain, and so by creating Pulsechain, this will allow for the Hex community or the Hex coin to strive and not have to deal with things with like gas issues and price manipulation when there's a lot of blockchain congestion. So that's kind of the idea, and those are the three major players within the Pulsechain ecosystem.
Got it. And I hear like people talking about sorry for my question, something called Hedron, and I don't really know what that is either.
So that's Hedron. It's basically like a secondaries market behind Hex, and the idea is if you stake Hex, you can mint Hedron. And typically, with one of the biggest downfalls of Hex is that when you have it locked up into a stake, you can't spend or use it. You can emergency end stake, but you're going to lose all your interest on that stake. So it kind of makes it pointless to do that when you pay the initial gas fee or whatnot. So what Hedron does is it takes that stake, and based off of how many tokens you stake, it's going to give you tokens. And you can use those tokens to buy, swap, or whatnot. So the idea behind Hedron is it gives you the spending power of your Hex stake.
Okay, cool. You break things down like and make it so simple. Like before this was a foreign language, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Can I share with you guys, I have this one article that I read last week, and I just want to get your thoughts on it.
That's it.
All right. You have to enable me, pretty please. I need permission.
Come on, Trent,
That's a
jump
good
on it.
question. How do I do this?
I think you go to like
Multiple participants can share simultaneously. I think that's you. Now try it.
yes, it is me. That worked. Okay.
Perfect.
So you'll see me with my zillion tabs up here. Okay. So in this article that I read, they're calling Hex like the next Terra Luna possibly, and that it could potentially implode. And a lot of people are also saying, you know, like Richard Hart's, you know, how that documentary was supposed to come out this year. Now it's pushed back a couple years, and how he's basically spent your community's money on, you know, ETH, Bitcoin, whatever other assets. So what are your thoughts on this? And let's start with it being the next Terra Luna about to implode.
So, kind of starting off with Terra Luna, that's an well, first off, that's an algorithmic stablecoin, and I mean it's a little bit different markets, but I understand the inference. So, when it comes to Terra Luna, the reason why it imploded was due to the fact that Do Kwon kept giving out was it USDT? Yeah, USDT, and basically there's so many coins in the market, it caused the the coin to depeg from Luna and make that massive crash. Now, what they're probably talking about with Hex is that there's something called an origin address, and within this origin address, there is a massive amount of Hex just locked away. Now, what Crypto Newsflash is talking about is that there's a good chance that this origin address is going to sell all the tokens and cause this massive crash that's very similar to Terra Luna. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrency, we talk about like decentralization, and if you look at every single project, there is a certain degree of decentralization where, you know, the top 10 to 100 addresses own a large portion of the cryptocurrency tokens. For example, XRP, the top 10 wallets own over 73% of the token supply. For Hex, this origin address owns, I think it was somewhere between 70 and 80% of the token supply. Now, the question is whether or not Richard Hart will go through and sell that entire supply. In my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen, because if a developer creates a phenomenal project, there's a good chance that they're not going to try to crash the project. And something similar to this was when Satoshi Nakamoto first launched Bitcoin. He actually owned 90% of the Bitcoin supply, and that was actually the best time to buy that cryptocurrency. And then over time, when it came to the amount each wallet held, basically it started to decrease with Satoshi Nakamoto's wallets holding, and more players started to come in. So in my opinion, I think this is kind of like similar FUD to XRP. And if this price were to crash, then why didn't Richard sell Hex when it was at 40 cents and now it's sitting at like 5 cents? So that's my overall thoughts. What was the other question? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, before I ask you that one, like I just want to read this. It says here, and I don't know if this is true or not. It says Hex creator speaks out. Meanwhile, a media outlet Protos reported that Hex creator and crypto advocate Richard Hart has sold all of the BTC and ETH investors used to purchase Hex on its launch date. The report also claimed that Hart had withdrawn all the digital assets from wallets used to receive Hex fees. Do you think that that is true or no?
In my opinion, after researching Hex, I don't think that's true. I would have to look more into it. I haven't seen this article before. But yeah, so I would have to look more into it. My problem with some of these articles is, you know, they put out these claims, but they don't show the wallet address. But I think this would be definitely something cool we can do like a follow-up on if you're up for it.
Sure. Like, and that's what, like, I can't say, oh, yes, he did this, or no, he didn't do this. And that's why I asked, because I haven't tracked his wallets to find out, and I'm not doing all that research. So it's like you see this stuff and it's important. That's why doing your own research is so important. But also, why I can't wait to watch this documentary when it comes out. But why do you think that it's been pushed back?
So documentaries are very political in the sense that, when you launch a documentary and your name's on it, how much royalties are you going to get for this video? Or um or what a lot of the developer teams like to I mean the production teams like to do is go up to every single person and be like, hey, do you like this video? Do you want us to launch it? So I think the reason why it got pushed back is due to internal issues with the production company. I'm not really sure. There's not much information
I
on
can
that.
actually, I actually been following this on Twitter. They've responded to this picture that's circulating right now about the production date having been changed to 2024, but they said it was literally just a typo in the code and that they're going to be changing it. So I assume that everything is pretty much still on the track that it was. But like you say, you never really know with some of these companies. They could be really pushing it back. It could not have been a typo, and that's a lie, and they really do have some internal issues that they're dealing with, or it could have to do with maybe Richard, like people have speculated, is he timing the market? Is he timing these things out? Maybe that could be a big part of it. I'm not exactly entirely sure how much of his own personal capital is in the film or how much of that money that came from Hex. Um, I don't know. I also want to address in the article you were asking about. That article asks if most of the assets were sold off from Hex purchases. Were you wondering that like from Hex and PulseX as well? Because a lot of people were saying like from the PulseX sacrifice, this Ethereum was being sold off immediately. Where was it going and all of
Right.
that? Is
Yeah.
that what you were referring to as well?
Yes. That's what I was
Okay,
wondering.
because I think there are two different instances there. That article is talking about hex profits as opposed to the sacrifice profits, which were completely different. I don't, if I'm wrong, correct me, Kris, but I don't think there was a sacrifice phase for hex. I think what Pulse Chain is like we're seeing like the first person to do that really in any of these ecosystems, creating this huge wave of sacrifices.
Well, I think when you look at the article, when you take a very complex problem and try to put it into 2 to 3 sentences, there's so many details, and that's with everything with life. And so um, I there needs to be a little bit more clarification. But what I think they might be talking about is a sacrifice, where you send crypto to a sacrifice wallet with no expectations of I think it was like the work of others. And I think what they're saying is the crypto in that wallet's being sold off. And last time I checked, I did not see that happening. That's why I want to get into more research. But definitely, Jenna, that was a phenomenal question to ask, because I'm sure a lot more other people have that same exact question.
Sure. But you know what? I've got to say, like, despite whatever FUD or anything, I think Richard Hart's gonna do a great job. I feel like he's just doesn't seem like the type who is destined to fail. Like he seems like he's definitely got a plan. And yeah, I definitely am still going to have Pulse Chain and get some more hacks. So
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
I believe in it. Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna switch modes to your area of expertise here, Miss Jenna.
All right. Well, I'm not expert, but I'm definitely passionate about XRP and the XRPL, so I will do my best.
Awesome. Awesome. So, just to kind of just kick this off, believe it or not, not a lot of people know XRP, even though they have a really, really strong community. So for those people that never really heard of XRP before, could you kind of give us like a very brief overview of what XRP is?
Sure. So just think about like cross-border payments, super simple, lightning fast, literally gets there like if just a few seconds, and there's hardly any fees. So these are made for peer-to-peer transactions. There's no you don't have to actually mine XRP. They're already made. So it is green. I know a lot of people worry about that. And, there was something passed last year about how digital currencies are bad, affecting like climate, whatever. So you don't have to worry about any of that with XRP, but super fast peer-to-peer transactions. And actually, the XRPL, which is the ledger, There are so many projects that are building on it just because they love the technology. Like you're not going to go pay for a coffee using Bitcoin, right? It's a store of value and it takes forever. The fees are high. It's not made for that. You're not going to use ETH. Obviously, we know why there. So this is what it was designed for: payments, remittances. Okay. And if we replace SWIFT, like the global payment system, we're talking about trillions of dollars that are going to flow through the XRPL. That's not little. That's kind of a big deal. And central bank digital currencies, obviously, that's something that people feel strongly about and they dislike, but they are using the XRPL, like that technology, to build CBDCs. It's already being done. So whether you like it or not, it is happening. But the technology is great. The company, just Ripple, keeps expanding. I guess I could keep on going and rambling, but they have amazing partnerships and everything. But just think of quick peer-to-peer transactions.
Absolutely. Phenomenal breakdown. When it comes to this use case with cryptocurrency, and you did a phenomenal job covering with the cross-border payments, there's an angle behind crypto, and it's not creating like a meme coin and trying to shoot it up and make money. It's going to be payments. It's going to be like stock investments. And that's why XRP has been proven to be a beast, especially with their partnerships with banks. Like,
Right.
that's hard to ignore. So
Right. It's not funny. It's not like necessarily sexy. Like, yeah, it's a payments digital asset, but it's also one that, we're going to actually have regulatory clarity with. Brad Garlinghouse, who is the CEO of Ripple, they could have settled, right? They could have paid the SEC whatever fine it was and moved on, but no, they wanted regulatory clarity. And that's why this case is so important, because it's going to definitely, I think, give us framework for other cryptocurrencies in the space. But I think it's one that a lot of people will feel safe holding in their wallets, because it does have that clarity. It's not a security, it's going to be used, and it's used all over. So if you're going to play it safe with a crypto, I do believe that is one of them.
absolutely. So kind of just building off of that. So does XRP as of right now have any sort of like deflationary component? Like, do they have some sort of way of removing tokens from circulation to decrease the supply, or is the token just capped at like one amount?
Well, you can black hole a token anytime you want to, but there's no need to do that with XRP. I've actually asked this question before. I'm like, oh, what if they burn it or whatever? Technically, you could, but I think that they have the designated amount that they need, because with your XRPL tokens, they actually have burner bots. There's developers who have made those where you can just send it to your own black hole. So yeah, you can definitely burn.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Awesome. So, next big question. So XRP, like I said multiple times, absolutely the community. And conspiracy is a big part of cryptocurrency, but this isn't necessarily like a conspiracy for like crypto guys. So I'm gonna jump into this part. So many coin holders within the XR community are extremely bullish on XRP becoming the next global reserve currency. So how do you think, so let's say this actually happens. How do you think this transition will occur with most of the banks using the US dollar as world currency? So let's say like one day, with all these partnerships coming out and they're saying, all right, we're going to start using the XRP Ripple technology. And you have like, an average Joe just holding a bunch of dollars in their bank account. How do you think this transition from this old economic system to this new financial system would occur?
I mean, I think that they'll think all that through and it'll go pretty smoothly, but I think we're very, very far out from that. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, to be quite honest with you. I know all the time, a lot of people in my community, and we'll go with that conspiracy theory for a moment, talking about flipping the switch. And David Swartz, who is the CTO of Ripple, has come out and said, whenever you're ready and there's a time of maturity in your crypto project, there's a flip that you can switch. And basically, people think that this is when, all of the ODL, the on-demand liquidity, like everything flows through. And that's when the price will go up. And I know that he refers to AMMs, automated market makers, as automated money makers. So I think that there's a system in place and I think that it will go smoothly, but I think that it's going to be a very, very long time before it happens. And we would need to worry about that, honestly.
Okay, awesome.
And
So,
honestly, I think too with that, I don't know that there could just be one. And I think XLM is a really strong contender to that. People don't like Jed McCaleb, obviously, because of what's happened in the past. But he's in bed with like the CFTC and a bunch of regulators and everything like that. So I think that XLM shouldn't be overlooked as a one world currency either.
absolutely. And to kind of just add on to that, there's a lot of other communities. I think their cryptocurrency is going to be like the one world currency. Like, for example, some people in Hex believe that, or some people think it's going to be Pulse. There's even people in Ethereum communities that believe that. And the one thing that I really love that you just highlighted on is that we have a multi-digital currency future. If we have one currency to rule it all, like in Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule it all,
Right.
then that by definition is a centralized currency. And
Mhm.
block and cryptocurrency is meant to be decentralized,
Yes.
multiple of them. So
Yes.
awesome point. Cool. So kind of moving on, getting to, the XRP ledger, prior, like in the beginning of the video, you mentioned XRP and XRPL. Could you kind of explain to us, like, what's the difference between those two things?
Sure. So XRP is the native currency of Ripple. Ripple's the company that's centralized, obviously. And the XRPL is a decentralized public blockchain, is the ledger, and it is decentralized. Whether people like to believe that or not, a lot of people say that it's not. But on the XRPL, like the users can retain their freedom to change their UNLs, which is their unique node list, at any point in time. So they can do that.
Okay, awesome. Now, kind of just jumping in, I want to get into just briefly get into like, smart contracts and developing on XRP. So I know you don't have a tech background and but you're definitely really smart and you're definitely really big with this community and you know a lot about this. And so we have like Solidity and like Java coding, and long story short, we have different computer software engineering languages to build these projects on top of it.
Mhm.
And stuff with like Solidity, it makes it easier for Ethereum, and then we have like the SDQL toolbox on the Cosmos blockchain. So one thing that and this is kind of goes in the category of FUD, is that XRP is still using Java coding. Do you by chance know if they're planning on launching like an easier software language for project developers to use, or anything in the works with that?
Oh man, I wish I had Matt Hamilton here. So I was every time on around the blockchain, they dog on me and say that it's just JavaScript and everything like that. And it's not, it's coding, but I don't know the back end details of that well enough to be able to explain it to do any justice at all. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's no problem. That was actually kind of complex, but
It's like beyond, that's above my pay grade.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think with a really big corporation with XRP and how they're building this phenomenal decentralized technology, there's probably going to be something in the works going into the future. But the thing about XRP and like Ethereum is like XRP is going for a different market than like Ethereum and Pulsechain. They're not necessarily competitors. Like XRP is going for global payments, like you said, and then Ethereum is trying to decentralize the web. So they're two cryptocurrencies going for two different things. And I hear a lot about XRP getting the smart contracts, and I think they're mainly focused on the lawsuit right now. So
They
um,
are, we have like we just finally had our long awaited, like you guys have been waiting on Pulse Chain, our long awaited XLS20, which it's not smart contracts, but now we're able to bid on NFTs and NFTs can get royalties. So it's like an actual NFT, right? So we have that literally just launched October 31st. So, everybody's really hype. that have been building over the past year with their XRPL projects, and we've been able to see like who's real, who's not, which projects are here to stay, like XPunks they just did, and like the different marketplaces that have popped up. So I'm watching all of that right now. That's kind of our hype, and also of course the case, but that's been really exciting.
Tell us more about the case after we get cut off here from the Zoom meeting. It's about to cut off now.
Cool. Awesome. So, Jenna, my next question, I really want to get into, the SEC lawsuit and what's going on here, because this is probably one of the biggest things taking up the cryptocurrency news section. So could you kind of break us down what the SEC lawsuit is, what's going on, and what we can expect going on to the future?
Sure. So it started in, December of 2020, the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple saying that XRP was an unregistered security, essentially. So we have been, Ripple's been fighting that for the past 2 years. They have a lot of evidence. Initially, what's really cool, which is a huge turning point in the case, is the Hinman documents. Judge Torres made those get released. And why those are important is because in the Hinman documents, he had already claimed that Ripple was basically not a security. And he gave a speech about, how a lot of these digital assets were not securities. So that's going to be super, super helpful for the case. And we haven't actually been able to see those yet, but we do look for those to get turned over soon. But of course, the Ripple attorneys do have that. And also what we've seen is there's been a couple other companies come forward now that do use XRP, and amicus curiae, if I'm pronouncing that correct, which means friend of the court. So they've submitted their documents, saying like, hey, how this has negatively impacted our business and everything. And the coolest part is Coinbase. We just saw Coinbase file this to be the amicus brief. So that's huge, right? Because we want XRP to be relisted on Coinbase, but it's awesome that they have come through and that they've petitioned to file for friend of the court. So I think that that's a huge win. Coinbase joins the Blockchain Association industry lobbyist group, Spend the Bits, a crypto payments app that uses XRP, and John Deaton. Of course, John Deaton has been with us this entire time. He's actually in a case right now where for the XRP Army, there's a class lawsuit against the SEC. And so just all kinds of good stuff going on here. But we're looking to, honestly, I think that within the next few months, this should be finished. I think it should be I think it's just going to be a settlement. I think it's going to be a huge win for Ripple. So we'll see that soon. But this is just another bullish thing that I saw come through. And it was really great to see Coinbase supporting them. So
absolutely. With the attack on XRP, this isn't just an attack on one community, it's an attack on all the communities. And, the SEC was doing with Gary Gensler it was terrible. There was some outside political motives, and hopefully at the conclusion of this case, we can get awesome regulatory clarity and we can finally move on developing the space. Because not only is cryptocurrency one of the best assets you can hold today, it is basically going to guarantee an awesome future for not only me and you,
right,
but for our kids and any relatives and the next generation on. So really awesome.
I mean, I agree. I think it is the greatest transfer of wealth that, we will ever see in our lifetimes. It's the fourth industrial revolution, right? I mean, if you are not like waking up to see all this, you're definitely missing out. Like it's hard because, I thought, and I used to watch Gary Gensler's MIT courses. They were free on YouTube whenever I was really getting into crypto, and it was around 2020. I was actually excited when I heard that he was going to be the chairman of the SEC, because I thought, this is great. He knows about crypto, like he's taught about it, but obviously I was completely wrong. He's done horrible things for the space. And, obviously the XRP Army is not a fan of him, and it's been a huge disappointment. And, other countries, they are rapidly accepting digital assets and and the tech is just going wild, and we're just kind of held back here, and it's not fair while everybody else gets
Absolutely.
ahead. I think it's
And
completely wrong.
with with cryptocurrency, America is one of the leaders, and with something like this, be very detrimental. But regardless, it's great to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I'm really I'm actually excited for the Army held on tight through all this craziness, especially in the last bull market. So, but that's it for the interview today. Jenna, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It has been a pleasure to talk about cryptocurrency with you. We'll put your socials down below so you can check her out. If you guys want to know anything about XRP, go check out her videos down below. She's on Around the Blockchain. She's an absolute stud in the space, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And I will do my best. If I can't answer your question, I can point you to someone who will. So I appreciate you having me, Kris. It's been so much fun. So thank you.
Okay. Next time. See ya.
Bye.